Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the DC stage. Really? Come on, guys. We got a couple of guys here you should be more excited about. Yeah. My name is Mike Avalon. I'm with Sci-Fi Wire, and it's my genuine pleasure to bring up two legends of comics here to talk about their latest project, Superman Year One, John Romita Jr. and Frank Miller. John, take a seat.
I'm Frank. I'm sorry. That's just done.
You'll be putting on a little art display for us while we talk here. Frank, you're going to supervise and make sure that he does a good job. Right? You're going to micromanage his drawing.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
These tools are not good enough for me.
It's,
Okay, so this
no,
is the first time,
I'm not a teacher, and also,
this is the first time you guys.
there are lost causes, and there's Romita.
Ball busting 101 on stage. All right.
Pretty much.
Sorry if there's children in the audience.
Yes, let's keep it clean, John. There are children here. Frank, this is the first time in quite a while you guys have worked together. When you came up with the idea for the project, was John's name first on your list of who you wanted to reach out to collaborate with on it?
You want a straight answer, right?
Do you want
Total
the truth?
honesty.
It was a long list, and he wasn't on it. No, actually, he was the only guy I could think of. The idea of seeing him draw Superman was one of the main things that got me going on this project. I always wanted a Superman, but working with John again made it an irresistible project.
John, how easy was it for you to say yes when he called you and talked to you about it?
Every time we talk about working together, I say I have yes prepared for him, so it's not a problem. It's in the back pocket waiting for him. We grew up together in the industry, so to speak, so we've worked together not enough, but the times that we have been glorious to me.
Yeah.
Did you know you were going to have to draw about 200 pages, though, for these 3 issues?
I didn't know it was going to be 200
Oh, wait a minute, excuse me. It wasn't. He made it that long.
Tell him the story about the addendum on Man Without Fear.
Oh, God, yeah, well, on Man Without Fear, that's Man Without Fear, the Daredevil Man Without Fear book started really as my treatment for a TV pilot for a production of Daredevil that never got made. And I talked to John about making it into a comic book series. And we got rolling, but as we got rolling, his pages started coming in. And they gave me all kinds of ideas, so I would send him addenda, which was just additional scenes and sequences to draw in the book. Well, then his pages would come rolling in, and they'd be amazing, but they would take up a lot of pages. And they would just inspire all kinds of ideas. More ideas, so I'd send some more in. And they came rolling back. And this thing that was supposed to come out as this little 4-issue miniseries just kept getting fatter and fatter and fatter and bigger until it became the book that you're familiar with. And it was really a case of how, it was really a sign of how things were starting to loosen up in the industry and how we could work much more like novelists do and not be so trapped. And it got to be the length it really wanted to be and needed to be. And we got to get all those really nice, big, full-page and double-page Romita drawings that we got in there.
He said, I have an addendum. It's going to be
He's going to complain now because Romita is what we call a very whiny man.
He calls me and says between page 17 and 18 there's going to be an addendum. Just throw it in there. It was 88 pages. So that's what happened here, only not quite in between page 17 and 18.
What I'm curious about is, like the first issue, it's gorgeous, just gorgeous pages, right?
John.
But there's
John,
not a lot of
that's really
superhero
weak.
stuff
I mean,
there, John. In this first issue, it's almost all in Smallville, and he's drawing these amazing pages, but it's not, superheroes slugging it out in space or above Metropolis. That's got to be challenging, and you can obviously speak to this. You're an artist as well. Are those kind of sequences harder to draw for you than the big epic fight scenes?
they're challenging, but they're not harder. It's just you have to make sure that they look legit as opposed to playing with the action choreography. So you have to have somebody walking down the street of a Kansas town. Got to look like a Kansas town. Can't be Manhattan. And yeah, they're challenging, but we've done it before, so it's kind of fun to get into it. And those instances with him as a young man, with bullies or being awkward with the female playing football, that was more fun than the choreography of the battle scenes. To tell you the truth, it was.
He mentioned the scenes with the female. Lana Lang is awesome in the
They're
in the
girls.
story.
They're women.
I don't know, he says females. He's like a guy out of the 50s.
What do all you males out there think of?
Tell me about Lana and your story, because in that first issue, she's such a firecracker, and she's so fascinating. She just jumps off the page. How much fun did you have writing her in this story?
I loved writing Lana, and it's Lana and Lois, to me, really, it's they have to be there for Superman to work, for Clark to work, because they're powerful characters. I mean, both are very courageous. The Lana is absolutely fearless in the face of terrifying taunts and the menace of the bad kids. And Lois, well, she's beyond belief. She's braver than Superman. So these characters really define him in many ways.
He's really turning into an explorer here. He's learning about his planet, as Pa Kent tells him in issue 1. Tell me about how you approach telling, filling in the blanks in this part of Superman's story, because you said something interesting in an interview when the book debuted. That you said Batman can be summed up rather easily. Superman is a bit harder to do. What did you mean by that, and how did that inform your storytelling approach here?
Well, you can say, if you really want to describe Batman to somebody, you can say he saw his parents murdered when he was a little boy and decided to fight crime for the rest of his life. And that tells you an awful lot of what you need to know about Batman. With Superman, it is more difficult because you've got to describe that he was born on a utopia that was extinguished by the hand of God, and that he was put in a rocket like Moses cast upon the sea to come to be raised in Midwestern America and become this American icon. So it's a more tortured path in many ways, even though he's not the dark one.
I just like
So the fact is, he's gone through all of this agony. He's seen his entire species wiped out, and he's still got a good attitude.
Well, I just love the aspect that he added to this, that the Kansas parents affected him more so than his natural parents, and probably saved the universe, because if they had been maniacs and turned him into an axe murderer, we'd have all been in a lot of trouble.
It's a great point.
So
If he had landed in the wrong neighborhood in Appalachia,
there you go. If he'd landed in Brooklyn, we'd have been in trouble.
We're not generalizing with the people in Appalachia, but I get your point. No, that's a great point. And Pa Kent, obviously, and Ma Kent giving the great advice that they do, that really helps shape his character. But it's really, you said this, that it's an immigrant story that you're telling here, and about him learning about this new land that he's living in, and he's going out there. And then you
excuse me, it is an immigrant story, but that makes it a quintessentially American story, because everybody in this room is an immigrant.
absolutely.
There's a reason why the character named Superman isn't a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordic character. The character was created as World War II was brewing, and I believe there's an element of the creation of Superman that was a response to the global fascist movement of the time. that certainly those two Jewish kids in Ohio were feeling a lot of the winds of war that were coming. And so Superman's a character with cultural significance, and I think that while we can't walk around parading that in this book, we keep it in our back pockets, in the back of our minds as we do it.
More importantly, is he going to ink this, or I'm going to redraw this because I'm looking at it and I want to fix everything that I just did?
Go ahead.
You want to play with this?
I want to look at it.
Make it look better, like Danny Mickey did on old 200 page.
Hey.
Where's Danny? Thank him for saving my ass on that book.
Keep it clean. Remember, think of the children.
My
Think of the-
posterior.
Okay, while he's examining your artwork and getting ready to rip it to shreds, what can we expect in the upcoming issues of this story? Wait. First, Frank, what do you have to say about it?
I was nervous. The sun was in my eyes. The bills, the kids, all that stuff.
Save it?
Please, for their sake. I hear grumbling in the back.
Is this how it felt when you would show your dad your early drawings?
My father would love it. My mother would say,
He's dead, Jim.
What do we think, folks? Do we like that drawing? Wow. Tepid.
tepid.
Tepid
That's
applause.
all we need him to fix it.
So, have you ever, how long have you been thinking about doing this for a living?
Like I said, the bills.
Do there are schools that teach
Every
this?
time the mortgage invoice comes in the mail, it gets me in the mood to work.
What do you mean? What invoice?
Yes, we have mortgages, us normal people.
But I'm sorry, he's trying to tell me he gets paid for this. Oh, this is sad.
I feel like it's just getting personal. I almost feel like I need to walk off the stage here. Frank, what would you change about that drawing?
Oh, God.
No, we're
You're
just
giving him
piling on.
straight
What
lines
drawing?
now.
What drawing?
I can fix it.
Wow, your conversations during the
You have no
during
idea what the
production
phone
process
calls are
must
like.
Be crazy.
What I change is a Romita drawing. I wouldn't change a damn thing.
That's why we have Danny Mickey and Alex Sinclair. They fixed
Great
everything
part
I
of the
did.
team. Great part of the package on this book, by the way. Real quick, you enlisted Clark in the Navy, and there's a big change. I know the book is technically out of continuity, but why was that an important part of the story?
Well, the idea there, and it was not my idea. Was that Pa Kent would say to Clark, "If you're going to save this planet, you got to know it. You really got to know. You got to see it. You got to see the people. You got to get a better sense of how it works." And so it began the beginning of his exploration of what his mission was, and of a shape so that he wasn't just out to defend a small town or a single metropolis or a single country. That he would be a global superhero, and so this was a way to get him involved in seeing the world. Also, along the way, it puts him in life and death situations where he gets tested in ways that he otherwise wouldn't have been tested. He's in life-threatening combat situations, but he has an absolute code that he was taught by the Kents not to murder. And so all of this gets put to the test, and it's a rite he has to go through before he begins his life in Metropolis.
But imagine that conversation with an intergalactic super person. I don't want you to take any shit from anybody. Pardon me, but you got to save people that are getting it from being bullied. If you don't split that hair, imagine the difference in the character. So if the Kansas, I remember my father telling me I don't want you starting the fights. I don't want you hurting anybody. But if anybody lays a hand on you,
What
you
happened?
break their ribs. That's how you got to put it. And imagine telling an intergalactic super being that.
Yeah.
That's staggering. I love it.
Yeah.
And if the father had been a weaker person, he might not have been the superhero that he is.
Right. And also, when you think about it too, what I really love about it is that here you've got a character who is, when you say his father, you mean Pa Kent. You don't mean Jor-El.
Right.
You know, it's because the one he learns from is an Earthman, and from an Earth woman as well. And so he's I mean he's a very complex character underneath that simple surface. What's wonderful is when you have a character who comes from such complex origins, but the result is simple. Meaning that from all of these forces that have affected him, and all these terrible things that have affected him, what emerges is someone who is good and pure and simple in his intent.
All right, you gotta tell us who's the first of the Superman villains we're gonna meet before this story ends.
Toyman.
Give us a tease. Come on, give us a hint.
Mr. McSpittalick.
Can you give me a serious answer? Come on.
You really want to? If he doesn't give you a straight answer,
there
I
are
might-
two Superman villains that stand above all the rest. You got to understand, Batman got all the good villains. You know, except two. But you know, Batman got. Let's put it plainly, Batman got the Joker. Nobody's scarier than him. But Superman's terrestrial enemy is Lex Luthor. The guy who's got nothing on Superman at all except that he's smarter than Superman. But the deadliest enemy he's got in the entire universe is the monster that committed genocide. The one who destroyed his planet. The one that destroys planets and actually kidnaps entire cities and puts them in jars. So the big one's Brainiac.
That's gonna be cool.
Just gave it away. You didn't hear that.
You didn't hear it. You didn't hear it. By the way,
But you're gonna have to wait a few years for that.
isn't it nice to finally put to bed all that nonsense that Frank Miller didn't like Superman? Isn't it nice to definitively put this out there and say, see, I've always said it for years, I didn't not like Superman.
Batman doesn't like Superman. Batman kicked Superman's butt. I mean, come on. And he'll do it again whenever he gets the chance.
No specifics here, but you drew 190 pages for this 3 issue?
190 pages.
Okay. Is there one massive classic Romita Jr. double splash page that we're gonna, look
The
at?
one
and go,
that
oh my God.
the one that I like the best is the three characters in the third issue. Since he gave away the ending, I can say this.
That's a great one, yeah.
The Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And they're just about to beat the crap out of each other, and she steps in and stops it. And I think that moment, those three, because I've always wanted to do all three, and I got a chance to draw Wonder Woman finally.
That's the first time you got to draw the
Well,
Trinity?
with the three of them together.
Wow, that's incredible. Another first.
And it made me want to do the character again, because what she does to the, well, I'm not going to give it too much
No,
away.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
She's-
Make them buy
she-
the book. Make them buy the book. But I do want to.
It's okay. We can say whatever we want because we are lying.
Everybody dies in the end. That's the-
lying. Yes. Are we gonna fix this drawing? What are we gonna do?
yeah, fix that
We're
so I
putting
can
it to
talk.
bed?
I don't know who's better. You better an inker than you are a talker, or what?
There's no fixing it.
While he's looking at them and mulling what he wants to do.
No, I know what I want to do. I want to get away from that thing.
You're running out of time. You're gonna have to fix that, John.
I can finish it. I'll fix it in ink.
In all seriousness, though,
He'll fix it in the inks.
That's
You know that line goes back to before his father. We'll fix it in the inks.
Frank, by now, is there like a certain shorthand that you have with John? I know, in all seriousness, like when you guys are talking through the book, like, are you guys in that kind of rhythm that you can say something and he's like, I got it, or do you guys have to work through the story in long phone conversations or?
No,
email or
no,
whatever?
it's better than that. It's that I'll I'll come up with a bunch of ideas and talk them over with John, or I'll write down some stuff, and then what comes back is so much better than what I had in mind that I'll just be rewriting stuff like crazy. It's always
I'm
been
waiting for the other ball busting to happen. There's something more coming. This is too nice. You're not.
Well, it all sucked, but that's the basic dynamic.
What he did, which is the most fun for an artist, is he gives room to play. We discuss it in advance, he gives room to play, and then he goes in and makes it better with dialogue. It was such a comfortable working relationship that's why I want to work with him again. He lets, again, we learned how to tell stories early on because we were given plots only. So we know this, and it works to our advantage. It's so much fun because you get input from the artist, and then he hones it with dialogue. It's great.
It really is the method that was developed by Stanley and Jack Kirby.
Yes.
And Stanley and Steve Ditko, but particularly Stanley and Jack Kirby, where the artist was the primary storyteller in terms of figuring out the pacing and the positioning, and including many of the story elements, so that the writer would bounce on either side of the process. First at the plot level, and then coming in to pull the whole thing together and add the musical notes of the words. This is Stan and Jack made it look easy, and it is easy in the right hands, in that it's pleasurable and it brings the best out of everybody. But you've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to be able to trust each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Miller, John Romita Jr.
Thanks a lot.
And it looks like John is just about done.
It's amazing.
Oh, and look, a special surprise guest, Danny Mickey.
Yeah.
Right, right up here. Come on up here. Come on up here.
Why didn't we have him ink this?
Hi, Frank. Oh, dude. Honor to meet you. Finally.
Don't look at this, Danny. I bet you can't pencil as well
Guys,
as
in
you
a
can
few
ink.
minutes, they're going to be on the other side signing for the wristband signing. So if you have the wristbands, you'll be over there.
We have a gift for this young man in the green outfit. The guy with the beard older than he is. You know what? Let me get Frank's name on it. Put your Hancock on that, boss. Frank, initial that for our buddy here. Beautiful, beautiful. Remember, it doesn't go on the bottom of bird cages. It's got to go.